Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome in from around the world for a super exciting and totally unique Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants broadcast. For those new to us, we're all about bringing conservation, adventure, and science into classrooms around the world, and today we are doing something completely different. So a little bit of a backdrop. A couple of years ago, we started incorporating Kahoots into our broadcast, little 4-question quizzes between the talk and Q&A, and you guys as an audience just love those. It's so fun to get to reinforce some key concepts, to highlight some of the coolest facts in any broadcast. And we love those so much that we built a whole web page with like 30 Kahoots with some of the coolest experts on planet Earth. Well, today I wanted to do a super Kahoot with you. So these are 30 questions, some of my favorite facts I've ever learned in science, and a lot of your requests as an audience. So I'm so excited that so many of you shared the topics you were most keen on, and I've added as many as possible. So today we're going to go on a little bit of a wild ride together with all sorts of cool stuff with aliens and robots and deep sea and dinosaurs and all of it. And I want to highlight too, just by way of explaining how I'm qualified to talk about some of these things. Before I was at Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants, I ran a national science festival across Canada called Science Literacy Week, and in this role, I have hosted over 1,700 broadcasts featuring some of the coolest scientists and explorers on planet Earth. So every day I get the chance to learn from some of the coolest people in the world, and I just wanted to bring some of their coolest insights to you for this special program. So I hope you're as excited as I am. We can buckle up together. I'm pulling up our Kahoot right now, and I'm going to share the game pin with all our audience on YouTube as well. So it is 8560995. I'm going to put that in our YouTube chat as well. Our Lambs 5th graders, if you guys want to sign in on your computers, we'll give you guys a second as well. I'll put this on our YouTube chat. And I want to stress for all our audience today, anything is up for grabs in our Q&A. At the end of the main Kahoot, you can ask anything you want about anything that's shared today and anything that's maybe not shared today, anything you're keen on, and I will try and find you the answer. I'll either know the answer or I'll find you the place where you can find it. And I want to encourage all our classes to write down extra questions. We're not going to be able to get to them all in 45 minutes because we never do, because you guys are so curious and awesome. But send them to me through your teachers and I will get you all those answers over the weekend. I'm so excited to stoke your curiosity just a little more. So with that, I'm going to kick off our broadcast. A few more of you yet to come in. We've got 30 questions together. And if you're new to Kahoot, the faster you answer, the more points you get. And what you win, as many of you will know, is my everlasting respect. I will bow down to our winner at the end of the show. So that's pretty cool. All right. With that, folks, let's do this thing and get underway. Here we go. Super Kahoot, the coolest facts in science. These are literally some of my favorite things I've ever learned in 32 years. So here we go. This is the James Webb Space Telescope Ultra Deep Field in this picture. What is it a picture of? Look closely at the picture. Is it stars? Is it deep sea glowing creatures? Is it galaxies? Or do we not know? What do we think? Let's see. 8 more seconds. 90 of you have your answers in. That's awesome. Over 100. Try and get the record for Kahoots today, or at least get close to it. I'm excited. All right. Ooh, a lot of you picked stars, and that is a really good guess, but that is not correct. Those are galaxies. So let's go to our next section on our Kahoot so we can talk about this a little more. We'll see what our scoreboard is. Cool. And then we'll learn a little bit more about this. So every single one, I've got a little slide to explain it. These are galaxies. So in this picture, this is our Milky Way. You can go out and see this picture right now out anytime in a dark place in the world. But the James Webb Space Telescope is taking pictures way, way beyond our solar system, way, way beyond the Milky Way. And imagine if you held a grain of sand, one grain of sand at arm's length from you. That tiny, tiny patch of sky is what the James Webb Space Telescope is looking at. And in that picture, in that first slide, all of those thousands of things were galaxies, things the size of the Milky Way, each with hundreds of billions of stars. And that is one tiny, tiny patch of sky. It is the coolest thing we've ever learned about science, through science, is how small we are in the universe. All right, let's go to our next question. Question 2. Your body and everything else on Earth is made of elements. Do we know where those elements came from? We have no idea, or we do, and it's awesome. What do we think? Where do the elements come from? Some of you are a little young to be talking about elements in your classrooms, but carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, maybe you've heard of. Certainly oxygen's a big one. Do we know where those came from? Let's see. So the answer is true. We do know, and it's awesome. Let's see what that does to our leaderboard. All right. Power Badger takes our lead. And the answer is stars and supernova epic star explosions. So inside stars, when things are being smashed together really, really hard, really, really hot, that's how we produce quite a few of the elements. But the big elements, the hardy ones that are much, much bigger than the others, they only form when stars explode and blow up. We know this definitively, and it's crazy. And then all those guts from the star, those exploded elements, all form into new stars and new planets and bodies like ours. So literally your body is made of something that was forged in the heart of a dying star. And if there's anything cooler than that, I don't know what it is. All right. Question 3. Most scientists involved in space exploration think there are aliens of some kind. True or false? What do we think? If you talk to an astronomer, if you talk to an engineer, do we know if there are aliens? Madam Jen, I'm going to get you the YouTube link right now. I'm sorry you guys are having trouble. Let's get that in the chat as well while we're waiting for this question to come in. Perfect. Okay. 3 more seconds, 2 more seconds. Woo! So a lot of you thought true, and that is absolutely correct. Let's see what that does to our leaderboard. Let's see. Fabulous, Tiger. We're going all over the place with our leaderboard today. I love it. So yeah, every time we have ever had an astronaut, an astronomer, a space engineer, anyone, they are like they say universally, space is so big that we expect there has to be alien life, which is very, very, very cool. So way to go for all of you who got that right. I certainly think there are aliens of some kind out there, even if they're the size of bacteria. All right. Now, number 4. This is multi-select. There is more than one right answer to this question. What are some of the places we think could have alien life? Maybe it's all 4 of these. Maybe it's 2 of them. Maybe it's 3. Maybe it's 1. Let's see. All right, 4 more seconds. Get those answers in. This is a tricky one. I tried to throw this in. So it is all 4 of these. So Mars, Europa, Enceladus, Titan, these are all places, one of which is a planet, Mars, 3 of which are moons of Saturn and Jupiter, respectively, that are, we think, could possibly have life. They either have oceans under icy crusts, or they've got like Titan is a moon of Saturn that has lakes made of like methane. So imagine like gas that you put in your car, but it's so different on Titan that it becomes like lakes and rivers. It's got mountains on it. Super, super cool, weird places. I encourage you to look up all 4 of these amazing places. Europa, we particularly think could have life. So we're sending lots of missions to there in the next few years. All right. Proxima Centauri is our closest neighbor star. The sun is a star, and the next star, our neighbor in the cosmos, is Proxima Centauri. Our fastest spacecraft, the fastest thing we've ever sent into space, how long would it take to get to Proxima Centauri? 20 days, 20 weeks, 20 years, or 20,000 years? What do we think? 5 more seconds. No pressure. I'm really curious what your answers are in this one. Woo! Yeah, good mix, but 20,000 years. So that's crazy. That's a crazy, crazy long time. It's insane. Let's see what that does. Boa, Violet, man, leaderboard is everywhere today. Okay, this is the answer to why there aren't aliens hanging out with us all the time, is that even if there are lots of aliens out in the universe is huge, huge. Going like a bazillion miles an hour, it takes 20,000 years to get to the next star. You better pack a lot of snacks if we're going to go. We have never come up with anything as big as a mission to another star yet, which is exciting that maybe in the future we could, but we'll have to advance our technology a little bit to do that. All right. I love this question, and I'm so excited to show you the thing after. We see the moon every night. How did it form? It's just always been there. It was an asteroid that flew by the Earth, and the Earth just captured it. It formed at the same time as the Earth, or it's a chunk of the Earth that blew off during an epic space collision. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. When I get very enthusiastic, it's probably the right answer. Let's see. Ooh, good mix again. It's number 4. Okay, so let's see what that does to our leaderboard. Gentle Raccoon takes your lead. Are you ready to see the video of how NASA thinks the moon formed? Because it's insane. Come on. Wants to play. All right. Let's cue this up for you guys. There we go. Watch this. Watch this video. Okay. Like we think a planet the size of Mars back billions of years ago slammed into the Earth, vaporized, blew off a chunk of the Earth, and then that chunk of the Earth became our moon. We, in part, know this because we've landed people on the moon and collected data of what rocks are like on the moon. So this is the leading idea of how the moon formed. No one was there, of course. It was way, way too far back. But it's crazy. Watch this again. And you'll notice that they become like liquids, because when two things are that big, they rip each other apart just by sheer power of their gravity. So the Earth was like a giant molten ball of lava, which is crazy, and I love it. And this is legit science, I promise. This is super, super cool. All right, next question. How old is the Earth? How old are we? What is our planet's birthday? Is it 4.6 thousand years old, 4.6 billion years old, 4.6 years old, or 4.6 million years old? I know these are all big terms. Billion and million are like, how do you even think of something like that? But a billion is 1,000 million. So it's a long time. Let's see, 135 of you in. So cool. All right, 4.6 billion. Almost all of you got this right. Yeah, so the Earth is super, super old. Like way, it's too hard to even fathom. Gentle Raccoon keeps our lead. We discovered this using a tool called radiometric dating. In your future, you should look up radiometric dating, because it's how we discover how old like artifacts are, or people, or dinosaurs, or the Earth. And it's crazy. And the guy who discovered the age of the Earth, his name is Claire Patterson, and he did it in the 50s. And he's one of the coolest scientists that no one has ever heard of. He like changed the world in like 3 different ways in his career. Super, super cool, including finding the age of the Earth. And the first person he told after he discovered it was his mother, which is very nice. All right, true or false? The crust of the Earth, what we're all walking around on, is super thick. What do we think? Is the crust super thick, or is it not super thick? Dun, dun, dun. Let's see. 13 seconds, halfway to go. This picture sort of gives it away. This picture actually is slightly wrong in terms of its scale, but in not the way that some of you might expect. Let's see. Ooh, a lot of you thought true. No, the crust is not super thick. I'll show you in a second. Okay. Gentle Raccoon is killing it, getting a big lead, 3 straight in a row. Think of an apple. If you've had an apple and you've peeled the skin off, the crust of our Earth is about as thick as that skin on the apple, which is crazy thin. Sounds kind of scary, actually, but mostly it's stable. Sometimes we have earthquakes. We had an earthquake, big earthquake in Thailand yesterday. Sometimes we have volcanoes, but by and large, the Earth is stable. When it's really unstable, that can lead to some bad things, but there's no risk of that on any given day. So we're pretty safe. All right. How long did dinosaurs rule the Earth? 300,000 years, about as long as people have been around. 600,000 years, twice as long as people have been around. 3 million years, 10 times as long as people have been around. Or 160 million years, which is 500 times as long as people have been around. I'm giving it away with my enthusiasm again. It's very exciting stuff. All right. 127. Yes. Dinosaurs were around for 500 times as long as people are around. They are like the unquestioned masters of the world. Agent Hawk takes our lead. So, yeah, not only could they eat us like in this picture, but they were around for a lot longer. But I want to highlight, bacteria have been around since like almost the beginning. So like bacteria are the unquestioned rulers of the world. And in fact, if you weighed all the animals and all the plants on Earth today, the bacteria outweigh them. There are more bacteria in weight than there are all animals and plants, which is crazy. So bacteria might be the rulers. Think about that. All right. Dinosaurs were the biggest creatures ever on Earth. I do this question a lot in several different kinds of programs. So if you've ever joined me before, I hope some of you might get the right answer. Let's see. 97. Oh my goodness. And by the way, that like brachiosaur in that picture would be way bigger than that compared to a person. They're monsters. They're like awesome. Let's see. One more second. The answer is, ooh, look at this split. False is the correct answer. Dinosaurs were not the biggest. We're going to meet our biggest in a second. Let's see what that does. Agent Hawk keeps our lead. No, you can go see the biggest animal right now. It's a blue whale. A blue whale is the biggest animal ever to exist on Earth. It dwarfs the biggest dinosaur. And again, look at these stats. Heart the size of a car, tongue the size of an elephant, and its tail is wider than your whole classroom, which is crazy. So there you go. All right. I hope you guys are loving this. I'm loving this. This is a lot of fun. What wiped out the dinosaurs? Let's see. COVID. Oh, a little on the nose. Meteorite impact. Volcanoes. Or mammals ate them all. Like saber-toothed tiger just like savaged the dinosaur. I think a lot of you might know this. This is a pretty commonly known science fact, and it's a really good one to know. So if you don't know this, by the end, hopefully you do. Yes, meteorite impact. A big rock slammed into the Earth and wiped out the dinosaurs. It was a lot smaller rock than that one we showed in how the moon was formed, but it was about the size of Mount Everest. So it was pretty hardy, and it was not good. But however, because the dinosaurs got wiped out, the mammals could flourish. So the reason that we're here having a discussion right now is because the dinosaurs were wiped out. So we're kind of happy that the rock knocked them out, because otherwise maybe we'd be a bunch of velociraptors having this conversation instead. All right. So if big rocks can wipe out the dinosaurs, they could wipe out us. Are we working to stop that from happening? Are people collectively trying to find those rocks and maybe stop them? Or are we not? Do we just not care? We're hoping for the best. Let's see. 125 answers. I love this. Okay. Yes, we absolutely are. So the 18 of you that were pessimists, no, it's good news. We are working to stop that. Agent Hawk keeps our lead. Let's see. Project Dart. A couple years ago, we did this. We sent a spacecraft and we slammed it into an asteroid to see if it would change the asteroid's trajectory, the path that it was on. And it did. It went way better than we thought it was going to. So the whole world community has said, like, look, we don't want to be wiped out like the dinosaurs. Let's pool our money and build things that we can use to knock rocks out of the sky. And we've done that already. And we're doing more missions like that in the future too. So it's very, very cool. So, whew. All right. I love this question. All life on Earth is related, from trees to fungi to people to snakes and beyond. True or false? Are you related to that fungus? Or no? That seems silly. I don't know. What do we think? 10 more seconds. Now, I'm a evolutionary biologist by background. That's actually my professional backdrop, is ecology. So animals and how they're related and how they change over time. So the answer to this is absolutely true. It's one of my favorite things in the world to know. All right, Agent Hawk keeps our lead. Our first ever 10,000 in a Kahoot. This is one of the craziest things we've ever discovered. You are related to a slug. You're related to a tree. You're related to a worm. You're related to all of them. Every time you should say hi to all your cousins every time you go outside, because it's one of the coolest things ever. All right. Who was the first person to show that this is true? Who proved that we're related to all those other things? Was it Newton? Was it Einstein? Was it Darwin? Or was it Copernicus? These are all four really big scientists in the world of science. And I hope a lot of you know this. This is a statue of him. I have seen this statue in person, and it actually made me a little, like, over the top excited. Let's see. Ooh, good mix. The fewest of you got this. So Charles Darwin is our answer. Okay, so we're going to have to up your evolutionary biology knowledge game by the end of this program. Agent Hawk keeps our lead, but Charles Darwin, he was 22, which is super young. Sounds super old to you kids, but when you're 22, you're like a baby. And he went off for 5 years in a ship to go all around the world, taking observations, finding out things. And then he spent 20 years proving this and talking to all the other scientists in the world, and wrote a book called The Origin of Species. And that is how we first came to really know and understand that we are related to all life on Earth. It's an amazing, amazing book. All right. DNA is a big concept for a lot of you. It's a recipe that makes you, you. I have DNA. You have DNA. Everybody has DNA. All your relatives, the slug has DNA. Can you take bits of something's DNA? Could you take some of a slug's DNA and put it in you? Is that possible or no? Or have we not tried? What do we think? This is also a crazy fact in science. I told you, these are my favorite facts in science. We're having a lot of fun. All right. The answer is yes. Most of you got this right. So let's check our leaderboard first. All right. Agent Hawk keeps our lead. Giraffe Vertidieu is second. Cool, but a good lead for Agent Hawk. Okay. Imagine a book. So that book, all the words in that book are the book that makes up you. If one sentence in that book is the same as a sentence in another book, you could just take that sentence out and paste it. It would be fine. So a lot of the things that make you, you, a lot of your DNA is identical to the DNA in a slug or a shark or a tree. And you can actually take those sequences and move them and nothing would happen. There's not something magical about human DNA. It's all just a code, which is kind of crazy to think about. And you're going to learn a lot more about it in high school, but it's super, super neat. All right. We can take a sample of something like soil or water and collect DNA from everything that passed through it. So if you go out to a pond and you get a cup of water, fill it with water, could you get DNA from that water? Yes or no? What do we think? Those recipes of life. Can you find out what lived and swam through something like water just by getting a cup of water? Yes or no? 4 more seconds, 2 more seconds. Let's see. Yes, you can, which is crazy. And we've only known this for like 10, 15 years we've been doing this. So this is called eDNA. eDNA rocks. Like if you go to the ocean and you see a whale, you're like, cool, that's a whale. If you go to the ocean and there's no whales and you take a cup of water and you've got the coolest scientific tools in the world, you can find out from that cup of water that a whale was there and a fish and like a squid. And that's so cool. And we're doing that all the time now. And it's changing the whole world of biology. I love it. All right, we're about halfway through. Humankind evolved on which continent? Where did people come from? Antarctica, Europe, Asia, or Africa? What do we think? This is, again, one of the most amazing things we've ever discovered. And I'll share in a minute, but like, we know this really, really well. Like, this is not something that we're guessing at. Like, we definitively know this. And we found many fossils, which is kind of cool. All different species that led to us. Ooh, a lot of you thought Europe. No, Africa is our origin spot. Humans come from Africa. That is where we began. It's where Agent Hawk keeps our lead. All right. So yes, like we can go back like 6 million years to the ancestors of man in like a very good sequence of fossils. We know quite definitively we started in East Africa and then we expanded around the world, first to Europe and Asia, down to Australia, across from Asia to North and South America. It's one of the great stories that we have ever learned in the history of man. All right. How many people are on Earth? So we've talked about where people came from. How many are there now? Are there a few million? Are there 1 billion or 1,000 million? Are there 4 billion? Or are there over 8 billion? This picture is not to scale. All right. Over 100 answers. Way to go. Let's see what we've got. Dun, 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 dun. 3 more seconds. And almost all of you got this right. This is our biggest correct answer. Yeah, over 8 billion people live on Earth, which is crazy. Agent Hawk keeps our lead. Okay. And in 1925, so 100 years ago, there were 2 billion people. So we have quadrupled. There are 4 times as many people. Imagine if your class went from like 20 kids to 80 kids by the end of the year. It'd be crazy. It'd be a little busy. That's what the Earth is like now. We got a lot of people on the Earth. So that leads us to some other stuff. This is my favorite question of the whole thing. And I'm really curious what you think. People's lives have been getting better in the last few hundred years. Are we better off now than we were in 1925 or 1825? Are we a little bit better? Are we a lot better? Are we about the same? Or no, we've been getting worse since then? I'm really curious what you guys answer for this. Adults get this wrong a lot. A lot of adults get this wrong. Let's see. Oh, you guys were so good. So a lot better. We are a lot better. If honestly, I'll show you in a sec. Let's see our leaderboard. All right, Agent Hawk still in our lead. Way to go. If you take one thing from this talk, learn this and tell your parents because they might not know. We are healthier, happier, more prosperous. We can communicate better. You can talk to me from around the world. We have more rights than we've ever had in history. There's always going to be things that are challenges for us. But by and large, we have gotten way, way better in the last 50, 100, 20, all of it years. We are always improving all those good things. So I'm really glad so many of you knew that. All right. The climate is changing because of us. This, I think, might be our biggest correct answer. A little bit and very slowly, a lot and quicker than we thought. Not at all, or we don't know. Is the climate changing? What do we think? You've heard of climate change, I think. Let's see what we think. All right, 120 answers in so far. So yes, almost all of you got one of the answers. So it is a lot, and it's quicker than we thought. We are changing the climate quite a bit. The last 10 years are the hottest 10 years on record. The last 20 years, the hottest 20 years on record. We've got bigger storms. We've got lots of things. So this is not in question. We have known that the climate is changing for over 100 years, almost 100 years. The last 50, we've really known, and we are united on that fact. Every year, all the world scientists get together to reaffirm that we are changing the climate in a big way. But this leads to a nice question. Are we doing nothing to stop climate change or prepare for it? We're doing nothing. True or false? If you pick false, that means we are doing good stuff. If you pick true, you think we're doing nothing. What do we think? Wow, a lot of answers. Very fast for this one. You guys are very keen. Okay, let's see. Oh, 5 more seconds. So many of you are in. This is fun. All right. The answer is false. So for the 47 of you who thought true, no. Again, there's a lot of challenges facing the world. There's a lot that we could be doing faster and better. But by and large, we are doing a lot of good stuff for planet Earth. There's more green energy than there's ever been. It's going super fast. The rate of this being adopted is incredible. And all the world's governments pretty much get together all the time and discuss how we can work to make the world a better place. So it's going slower than we'd like it to. It's a big challenge for mankind, but we are doing a lot. So never lose hope. We're doing a lot. It's very important to know. All right. We're getting into some superlatives on Earth now. The deepest point on Earth is Challenger Deep. How far down is it? Is it 500 feet, like a tall apartment building? 2,700 feet, the tallest buildings? 29,000 feet, about as high as Mount Everest? Or over 30,000 feet down, which is about as high as planes fly? So if you've ever been in a plane, you see how far down the earth is. Is the deep ocean as deep as that? Seems kind of crazy, but it's true. Yeah, over 30,000 feet is Challenger Deep, which is crazy. That changes our leaderboard a bit. Agent Hawk has a very solid lead, though, I got to say. That is a long way down. 99% of the area on this planet that animals could live in is in the ocean and the deep ocean. So there's a lot down there, which is crazy. I love it. All right. How many people have been there? How many people have been to the deepest point of the ocean? No one? 27 people, 500 people, or 10,000 people, and we've got like a base down there. That would be cool. I would love, maybe we do. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Maybe we do, but maybe we don't. It'd be cool to have a base down there if 10,000 people have been down. But what's our correct answer? I think it's lower than some of you are going to think. It is, ooh, a lot of you thought no one. Wow, I'm very surprised. There you go. So we have been down there, which is crazy. And we sent down 2 people for the first time in the 50s. And then we've sent a ton of people in the last 2 years. So James Cameron, if you've seen Avatar, the guy who directed Avatar, he was the 3rd person to go down. And now we've sent down like 24 other people on 20 missions with a really cutting edge submersible in the last 2 years alone. So we're getting there. We're sending more and more people down, which is very exciting. All right. Landing on the moon was one of the great feats of mankind. When did we last land on the moon? 2024, 2005, 1972, or 1930? What do we think? Did we go last year? That would be fun. I want to go to the moon. I think a lot of you might want to go to the moon too. And maybe you can. You guys are the age of kids that are likely to be our astronauts going to the moon and Mars, which is awesome. All right. Wow. So many of you got this right. 1972. Yeah. Over 50 years ago was the last time we set foot on the moon, which is a long, long, long time. It's amazing that it's been that long. All right. We are planning to go for a moon landing in the next few years, which is very exciting. Possibly next year could be our first time back on the moon. All right. How many people landed there? So you guys thought no one went to the bottom of the ocean. How many people have been on the moon? I think a lot of people know that people have been on the moon, but is it 1,200 people that went to the moon? 134? 1 person? Or 12 people? What do we think? Dun, 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 dun. Let's see. Oh my gosh. It's very exciting. I love your answers. You guys are doing an amazing job. Yes, 12 people. Wow, so many of you got this right. Okay, let's see what that does to our leaderboard. Agent Hawk, this might be like a race for second. Agent Hawk might have like an insurmountable lead, but I love that you're all so excited no matter what. All right, Apollo 11, Apollo 12, Apollo 14, 15, 16, 17. Those are the 6 missions that we landed on the moon. All of them had 2 men that landed, 1 person that went around in a capsule, and they were all Americans. You'll notice that 13 is missing from that. 13 had a big accident, but is one of the great survival stories of all time in a movie featuring Tom Hanks, which you can watch when you're a little bit older. All right, true or false? We have robots on other worlds right now, and you can check on what they're doing every day. True or false? What do we think? Do we have robots on, like, I don't know, Venus or Mars? Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Maybe like in this picture. I think a lot of you are going to get this right. I think I take it back. This might be our most correct answer. Let's see. What do we think? Robots in other worlds? Seems kind of crazy, doesn't it? But it's true. Yes, 100 of you got this right. We absolutely have robots in other worlds. We have sent many robots to other worlds, and you can go right now and like see what they're up to, which is crazy. Mars.nasa.gov is like the greatest website of all time. I wish when I was a kid something like that existed. I hope you all go. It is so, so cool. It rocks. All right. We're going to do a few more of these, and then we're diving with questions. My goodness. All right. Every time we seriously go to like the jungle or to the ocean and we look for new species, we find them. True or false? I will say, as not just a hint, but a total giveaway, we had a deep sea scientist on once, and the classroom asked her, how many new species have you found? And she said, I don't know. She has found so many new species, which is crazy. So the answer is true. Yes. Every time we go, we find new species. So Agent Hawk keeps our lead. Giraffe's getting pretty close though. Woo! How cool would it be to find a new species? This is one of my dreams in life, is to go to like a rainforest and go looking for new species and find them. And I will say for you kids, in Denmark, a few years back, they did a project where all the kids collected little samples of moss and they sent them into a lab, a science lab. And in that moss, they found 8 new species of water bear or tardigrade, which are some of the coolest animals in the world. But kids found those. Kids like you, just collecting things from their schoolyard, which is crazy. So even if you look really small, you can find new species, which is awesome. All right. We're in the home stretch. We're in like the final 4 questions here. With free apps and online tools, you can help real scientists do important work. True or false? Can you, with your phone or with your family, go and collect info that helps real scientists? That seems kind of crazy. I don't know. Maybe so, though. If you've been paying attention to me in other broadcasts, you will know the correct answer to this question, which, of course, is true. Most of you got this right. Yeah, there are so many apps out there now. There's so many cool things. It's like the golden age to be a scientist, as our giraffe friend gets shockingly close in our final few questions. All right. iNaturalist, Debris Tracker, Zooniverse. Zooniverse has like 60 projects that you can get involved in. It's crazy. So lots on there. I can share these with your teachers if you're excited after the show. Go out and explore and find new things. All right. What is the most important skill most of our experts at Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants say has been crucial to their success? Amazing grades. Are they all super smart? Do they have loads of money? Are they rich? Are they really curious? They just want to learn things? Or are they really selfish? They just muscle everyone out of the way and take all the credit. That's not the best way, maybe. That has not been said. No one has ever said selfishness in the history of Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants. Quite the opposite, actually. But let's see what our answer is. This is our final question. I made a mistake. So many things we got on the go. You guys rock. Okay. One more second. The answer is, some of you thought selfishness. No, it's not selfishness. Loads of money. Certainly resources help. Amazing grades, being smart, doing well in school can help. But overwhelmingly, and most of you got this right, curiosity. Just be interested in learning something. Maybe you don't like one of the subjects in your school. That's okay. I didn't like some of the subjects in my school, but I always pushed myself to learn them. And I always pushed myself to learn lots of new things so that one day I could do a super Kahoot with like 300 kids from around the world and have some fun with it. So curiosity, whatever you're interested in, keep learning, keep exploring. It goes such a long way to helping make your life exciting and wonderful and finding some of the best jobs you could ever have. And so with that, our Super Kahoot wraps up. For everyone who participated, thank you all so much. Elated Hamster is third. Giraffe Virginia is second. It's a butchered pronunciation. And almost wire to wire, Agent Hawk is our winner. If you are Agent Hawk, let us know who you are in the chat. Way to go, everybody. Thank you all so much. That was a hoot. I love that. All right. We are going to dive in with questions. There was a lot we covered there. So over the next 10 minutes, we're going to cover a lot of it. If there's anything that you're really keen on knowing, you can ask me live. Try and do a couple rounds per classes. And then if you have any extra ones, email them to me after. I will get you all the answers, any question you're keen on. But we are going to begin with Mr. Hancock's class in Georgetown. If you've got a question for us to kick us off, come on in.
You know what, Jesse? I wonder if you could talk more about the people who have been the 24, 27 people involved in the ocean. That really stumped us.
Yeah. So years and years ago in the 50s, we sent 2 guys down in like a big metal shell, and they went to the bottom and they came back up, and their window was like this big. That's what they got to look through. And then we hadn't done it for so long, just like going back to the moon. We'd spent years, decades not going down to the bottom of the ocean. And recently we started being really curious to be like, hey, we don't know much about the ocean. We know more about Mars and the moon than the ocean. So first, James Cameron, who's really rich, built himself a super submersible and went down himself. And that was awesome. And he prompted a bunch of other really rich guys to be like, man, we ought to have some submersibles too. So a guy named Victor Vescovo, who'd been to the moon, he's been all over the world. He's been to the top of Everest. He's been all over the planet. We featured Victor on this broadcast. He built a submarine and it went down basically in all the other 20 missions. So he took down astronauts and explorers, the first woman to the bottom of the ocean, the first Black person to the bottom of the ocean. So like we're increasingly bringing all sorts of people to the seafloor. Now, the deepest part of the ocean is, I gotta say, it's very deep, so it's awesome, but it's kind of boring. There's not much down there. So it's really exciting that we're actually doing other missions in really rich areas. So we featured these with the Nautilus, with the Falcor, with the Atlantis, all these amazing research vessels, but just broad strokes around the world. We are sending more and more people and more robots to explore the seafloor around the planet. So lots of cool stuff on the go. It's a great question to kick us off. Madam Stephanie's class. I'm going to head to you guys. Our Lamb's 5th graders, you guys are next. Come on in, Madam Stephanie, if you've got a question, and take us away. Hey, grade 6s, welcome in. Unmute. Come chat with me. Hey, guys, welcome in.
Do you have a question?
Any questions? No, nothing.
Not for now.
Not for now. That's cool. Well, if you do think of any, you can let me know in the chat and I'll come to you in a minute. Our Lambs crew, 5th graders, if you guys want to come in and have a query, go for it. And then Madam Jem will come to you right next. Hey, guys. Let's see. Oh, your mic is on, but it's not working, which means that I can see you, but I can't hear you. Now, you can smack the mic. That might work, but you can also share in the chat on the side. I'm sorry that it's being finicky. Share it there, and I'll take any questions from the chat. Madam Jen, might be the same deal with you. We got a few tech issues today, but that's okay. That's half the fun. Come on in. See?
Can you hear me?
I can. Yes.
Excellent. Yeah, sorry for the technical issues earlier. So, first of all, look at that. I'm actually in a classroom, Jesse.
You are. I'm so excited.
Awesome. So my 5th and 6th graders were wondering,
Yes.
was the planet Mars
Yeah.
inhabitable at one point, like Earth?
Ooh, so we are almost positive, yes. We don't know that there was life there. We're still looking for life there, which is kind of interesting. But we know that Mars looked a lot like the Earth. So we bring on an amazing scientist named Dr. Abigail Freeman. She builds some of those robots that go and explore Mars. And through her work, we've discovered that Mars had rivers, it had lakes, it had oceans, it had an atmosphere. It would have been very much like Earth. A few billion years ago, if you took a picture of Mars and the Earth, they would have looked very much the same. And then Mars got cold and it lost its atmosphere. And now it's like a dry desert that's really, really cold. And it's just changed radically. But we're still looking to see if there might be signs of life on Mars. And we know there's water. We know there's ice at the poles. So it's the place that we most want to go visit as astronauts to explore even more, which is very, very cool. So here's hoping maybe we find like a old bacteria looking thing sometime. That would be one of the coolest things ever. All right. Lambs. Okay. Fixed mic. Let's see. Hey. No. You did not fix the mic, but it's a valiant effort. I'm sorry, guys. Sometimes these things happen. Share your question in the chat, and I'll have you guys on while we say it, and I'll take one from our YouTube classes really quick while you wait. Caesar in Nicaragua wants to know, when will NASA scientists believe that the asteroid will impact the Earth? So we do not have a sense of when an asteroid is going to hit the Earth. We have observatories all around the planet that are scanning the sky all the time to look for big rocks that might hit the Earth, because we're worried about that. We don't want that to happen. That could be very, very dangerous. Now, rocks are very dark. Space is very big. So an asteroid could hit us tomorrow. Very unlikely, but it could happen, and we might not know. But we're increasingly putting a lot of money into understanding where all the rocks in space are and how we can stop them if it comes to that. So I'm really glad we got that question. Thanks, Caesar. All right, Lambs. So sorry that your text's not working, but we're going to come in. Who was the first person to go to the deepest part of the ocean? So there was a U.S. Navy lieutenant named Don Walsh, and there was an amazing ocean explorer named Auguste Piccard. So the two of them went together, and they went down in it was called a bathyscape, which is just a cool term for like a deep sea submersible. And it was called the Trieste, and that was in the 50s. Very, very cool. All right, Madam Stephanie, we're going to come back to you, and then we're going to do a whole other round with everybody. Come on in, grade 6s. Hey. Hi. Unmute.
Hi.
Hi.
How much scientist does it take to find like a DNA of like a sample of moss or something?
Easy. Like, honestly, like one scientist can do that in their lab. The technology for that has improved so much in the last few decades, which is crazy. Like, literally, I'm not kidding. I'm actually working on trying to make a project like this with kids in Canada and the United States. This would be so cool. It's just hard. You require a little bit of funding. But like, basically, you could go out again and like scrape some moss, scrape some stuff off a tree, put it in a vial, send it to a lab, and the lab could like assess it and find out that there's a new species. That's crazy. Or DNA from anything. And we could find that. Like, it's one of the coolest things ever. And we've done that in the last like 10 years, 20 years only. Like, it's wild. And I'm so glad we got that question. So thank you very much for that, guys. All right, one more round. We got 5 minutes, and then you can write all your extra ones down and pepper me with questions at the end. But Mr. Hancock, come on in. Take us away.
We had a student wondering more about why the Earth's crust is so thin.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think of a way to think about this, conceive of this. Like, basically, it's just how the rocks cool. Like, you can think most of the Earth, so inside the Earth is really, really hot. It's like lava, but inside the Earth. It doesn't come out onto the surface. And so when you make, like, baked goods, sometimes the top gets a crust on it. Like, it heats, it cools down as it hits the top. If lava flows along the surface, the top part of that lava, because it's hitting the air, it gets really cold and cools and becomes a crust. And sometimes the lava keeps flowing underneath that crust. So basically, the whole Earth was molten and the outer edge just cooled in a way that it formed a thin little lip. There's not much more to it than that. It's really, really weird to think about, but that's the essence of why our crust is so thin. And it's worth noting, we can't really go into the crust at all. We can use cool tools with sound to understand what's inside the Earth. But if you try and burrow with the coolest machines in the world down into the Earth, you can barely go in. You can barely get through the tiniest bit of the crust because it gets too hot and the rock gets too liquid for the thing to keep going. And it all gets gummed up and stuck down there. So it's very, very cool. All right, our Lambs 5th graders. We're going to take one more from you guys. Let's see. Ooh, okay. So many good questions. I'm going to take the Mars one. Why do we want to colonize Mars when we have everything we need here? Honestly, basic curiosity. A lot of people are just really keen to see if we can do that. Do we have the technology to do that? Some people make the argument that, hey, if something like a big asteroid were to ever hit the Earth and wipe out the Earth, it would be very good to have people on another planet. I used to be very much in that camp, and the older I get, the more I learn. Even if Earth was as uninhabitable as possible, if climate change went crazy, if we were hit by an asteroid, if everything went crazy, it would still be a better place to live than Mars. And we don't have to go to Mars, right? We're already here on Earth. We could build things to survive on Earth. So I love the idea of going to Mars. I hope we do. I hope we land there. I hope we make a base there, just like we do on the moon. I would find that one of the triumphs of the human species. But people want to colonize Mars for lots of reasons, and I don't think a lot of them are very good. So it's a big question. You're going to get very different answers from anyone you ask that, but I love that we got that one. All right, Madam Jen, we're going to head to you guys, and then Madam Stephanie, we can come back for one final one if you have one. Madam Jen, second question.
So continuing with the planet Mars, how did it lose its atmosphere? Like, why did it get cold? And also, if it was like Earth, I'm assuming that means that there was inhabitants of some sort, plants, insects, something?
Ooh. So we know there was no plants, or at least we're 99% sure there were no plants and insects. So plants and insects evolved here. If we found life on another planet, any other planet, anywhere in the universe, it would likely be so different from life on Earth that we would barely know that it was life. We have some things that we would look for life, things like a molecule that can replicate itself like DNA. So when we're looking for life on Mars, we're much more looking for things that would be like bacteria size, so really, really tiny, and they also wouldn't be bacteria. They'd be a little different, and we wouldn't know quite how that would be. So there was water on Mars, certainly, but no evidence of life yet, although we do keep looking. As for its atmosphere being lost, I do need to check into this. I think we have a fairly good understanding, but I don't think it's firmed up yet. So I will check that out. I don't want to talk out of my hat, but it's really, really neat. And then on Venus, just worth noting, the exact opposite happened. Venus is also like a sister planet to us in the solar system, and Venus probably had a thinner atmosphere at some point, and now it's got like a crazy, crazy thick atmosphere that is so thick that it's hot enough to melt lead, like it's like several hundred degrees, and the atmosphere is made of sulfuric acid, so nothing survives on Venus. Like if you send a robot into the Venus atmosphere, it like melts and blows up. It's terrible. So it's the exact opposite problem, which is very, very cool. So I'll find that out for you and get you an answer as soon as I can. Madam Stephanie, one final question. I know we could go all day, so email them to me after. I thank you guys so much for this. This has been just a ton of fun. But wrap us up in Oakville, guys.
How many supernovas have been discovered in the last 100 years?
Oh, what a crazy question. I love that you guys went so keen on space rocks. So lots. And in fact, there's my favorite science book of all time is called A Short History of Nearly Everything. And in it, there's a man in Australia who actually, with his naked eye, just going out at night and scanning the sky, has discovered, I think, dozens of supernova, but we found many, many more since then. So we're always scanning the sky. We're always looking for things that change. And that's a big change. If a star explodes, it really looks different. And in fact, throughout history, back when we didn't even really know what was happening, there are historical records of people seeing like, wow, like something's way bigger in the sky. In Orion, by the way, so Orion, maybe you've seen Orion's belt, maybe you've seen Orion. The right shoulder of Orion is a star called Betelgeuse, and Betelgeuse is really close to blowing up, and we know this. And if Betelgeuse ever explodes, and that happens while we're alive, when you look in the night sky, it'll be about as bright as the half moon. So for like years, there'll be the moon and there'll be like something almost as bright as the moon in the sky, which will be this giant exploded star, which is crazy. So you can quite often see them with the naked eye. We can find them with new tools. We've got a huge observatory called the Vera Rubin Observatory going up in Chile, which is literally going to like pan the sky every night and take pictures of the whole sky. So it's going to discover all sorts of new supernova, but the answer is hundreds, if not thousands. And I could find out an answer to that after the fact. So guys, there's so much out there. This is what I mean by be curious. Like, it's the coolest time to be alive. You have the world's information at your fingertips on your computer, through your teachers, through your libraries. Go to your libraries, read books, they rock. And I just thank you so much for playing along with a super fun Kahoot. I hope you guys learned a bunch. I can also give your teachers that full Kahoot if you want to check any of those answers after the fact. So lots to explore and discover, but I'm going to bring in our class just to say thanks, guys, for joining. Madam Stephanie, thank you guys for being here. Our Lambs 5th graders, thank you guys for being here. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and bye for now, guys.